You guys have both covered a lot of IPOs. Bailey, I want to start with you. Is it fair to say demand for SpaceX is out of this world?
Out of this world, but is it better than Cerebras was, a stock that's near and dear to your heart? No, but not by definition as it relates to the actual share count available. But Ed, it's one of those funny things where you go, okay, it's more than 4 times oversubscribed, but then you do the back of the envelope math and say, well, that's a lot of orders. So in terms of sheer net demand, yes. But in terms of like oversubscribed books, we've seen a number of deals like 20, 30, 45 times oversubscribed, and that's normal.
So what's the signal here that this is sending us?
I mean, people buy into the story. That, you know, the thing about the also, Bailey, like, let's just be sort of boring and old-fashioned about this for a minute. There's a lot that's unknown. The allocations aren't set. Right, we put a lot of reporting into all of these big institutions placing orders in the billions of dollars. It's great to place an order. Doesn't mean you'll get it. That gets decided in real time right now. And you know, I think what, without speaking on his behalf, what our reporting as a newsroom shows is that Elon Musk and the rest of SpaceX management have been very in control of this process, dictating the terms literally, but also who's going to get access in the end. The retail portion, again, when it gets settled on a percentage basis or a dollar basis, there will be loads of people around the world that will be very disappointed. So that actually it's academic. What happens tomorrow when it starts trading?
Well, you know, okay, there's the excitement around the IPO, and it's hard not to. The largest IPO ever.
I'm stalling, by the way, because he's trying to send messages to sources, and so I'm just trying to...
Okay, but I guess so I'm going to stall with you. I mean,
Please.
So there's the excitement over the IPO. Yay, we're going to get the first day of trading. I get it. I get the importance of it. But then there's the actual business. I mean, this is not a profitable business.
It's not, but, you know, what's been very interesting in the last week, let's say, speaking to a lot of existing investors and people that will participate in this IPO, they're actually probably even more bullish on the nearer term opportunity than SpaceX has set out in the prospectus. So actually, the idea of orbital data centers, these are data centers in the form of satellite, going into deployment and then generating revenues. Actually, you know, a lot of people I've spoken to very seriously believe that is more imminent than SpaceX has said it is. They've said as early as 2028. And,
Brett Winton, you had him on program from ARK Invest.
ARK Invest is very bullish
he
on
said
anything Elon.
$300 billion win.
Yeah, so let me explain
and
as succinctly as I can his thesis. Yeah,
ARK and Cathie Wood, you know, I know some people find her controversial, and there's people who, you know, buy what she says, and there are others who don't. But having said that, she was with Elon from the get-go when everyone wasn't really impressed with what he was doing at Tesla. And it did take a full, you know, several years, and he didn't hit all his deadlines, but here you are.
So you always start with Elon Musk often misses the timelines that he himself sets out, but gets there in the end. This is a question about valuation, right? So this stock will trade at 100 times or 90 times current revenues and forward 12-month revenues as best we can calculate them. What Brett Winton and ARK's argument is that, well, actually, we have a lot of data available to us about Starlink. That is the business of internet and direct to cell based on satellites. We know the cost of those satellites. We know how many of them there are. We know the dollar basis it takes to put them there. And all he's doing is extrapolating out to the data center business and saying, I actually can model for how quickly they can book revenues on it, with the big if they get Starship, their big rocket, to work. Simples.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Bailey's been on the Bloomberg Terminal app.
On the phone, because Ed gets the computer.
Okay.
For people.
He gets the computer.
I'm sorry.
What do you... We're talking about the breaking
headlines
news.
that are coming
SpaceX
through.
reports the pricing of the IPO.
Formally at 135. So
not a surprise, though.
No, not a surprise at all. Again, Elon kind of called his shot in terms of this being a $75 billion fundraise, this being a deal that comes at $135 each. But it's official, according to what we're reporting on the terminal right now. And the reason that matters is now, to Ed's point, everyone on the buy side is going to figure out tonight, early tomorrow morning, what their allocation was, and they're going to have to think through what they want to do tomorrow.
Well, tomorrow, you know, typically when a company goes public and has its first day of trading, there's this price discovery moment. We don't know exactly what time shares will start trading. Do we expect that to happen tomorrow, Bailey? Is it sometimes price discovery can take a really long time?
It can take a really long time. I mean, we'll go typical. Normally in the 10 o'clock hour, we'll start getting indications from NASDAQ. The biggest thing to keep in mind, indications mean Everything and nothing. No one is trading shares. So
Remember
you can
Right.
see an indication though that says $700, $1,000. It means absolutely nothing. What matters is when we get closer to that, call it 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock window, when we get closer to the first trade that Morgan Stanley is going to execute.
Right.
What does that look like? Because first trade actually does matter because someone bought and sold in that moment.
Sorry, I'm typing, but I am listening.
No. It's just, listen, again, the superlative. Where do you want to go?
Who's buying? Who can buy? Who can actually sell tomorrow?
So I think what's going to be more interesting, right, is the retail allocation, wherever it ends up. Again, there will be lots of individuals around the world super disappointed. So the indication doesn't matter. It's largely a sentiment indicator, and it's based on humans talking to one another. But when the trade happens, what we heard on television, Bloomberg television today, but also on the phone, is, okay, we open and it goes higher, right? But even if it starts trading at 1 p.m. Eastern and there's 3 hours left in the session, it will be the first opportunity for a lot of people to buy at that start of trade, and they will want to try and this life-changing amounts of gains, right? So they'll want to sell it if it went to 200. This is hypothetical.
So the volume could be crazy tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't know the answer. Who's allowed to sell? But yeah,
it's everyone.
It's open market.
But it's only people in the IPO. So the $75 billion afloat is what trades tomorrow.
That's it.
There's no insider. There's no long-term employee. Everything that's sold today.
Do we have details on the lockup?
Lockup starts after second quarter earnings.
Okay.
Second quarter ends in June. So
and it's even more severe on Elon's own shares. Not that it's academic because
he'll just take out loans against his shares.
Correct, but also
he's been doing.
His economic ownership of the company is not the story here. It's his voting power in the company. And so, these are hypotheticals. The main point being that the thesis, as presented by SpaceX management, or at least in our reporting and the existing shareholders, is the reason they'll do a larger shareholder allocation to retail investors is they believe that those retail investors believe the story.
Well, it's partly that, and it's also, again, going back to the reason that
this is so fun. We're just here holding our phones,
ignoring Carolyn's
I got to tell you, a story just crossed the
Sorry.
at 3:31, written by Bailey Lipschultz, and he's been sitting right here. So I don't know how that happened, but
magic.
That's the story. SpaceX's IPO raises $75 billion in biggest debut of all time.
But the thing is, 30 to 40% of Tesla is owned by individual investors, writ large.
Exactly.
Selling, even in the IPO, 25% to retail is a small fraction when you think about what is going to be unlocked in the next year. So the big question, and a lot of things investors are debating, is how does retail ramp up buying to own 30% of a $1.72 trillion company? Because 30% of $75 billion is a big number, but it's still only $22 billion. That's trades like water and Nvidia from a retail perspective.
Yeah. There's one interesting dynamic, which I think tomorrow is going to be very interesting. So look at shares of Tesla tomorrow.
Okay.
And the reason being is that if you're a retail investor that did not get an allocation,
that's how you get into it.
What choice do you face if your entire net wealth is tied up in Tesla shares that you've held because you believe in the story long term? What do? Do you sell to give yourself some money to do that? Or going into this, did you sell to...
Well, the big thing, though, is for a number of... Just to clarify on some points, each platform, each e-broker is different. So some brokers, when you put in an order, hypothetically, for $100,000 of SpaceX shares, you either have to have that liquid or have assets pledged as collateral. So it's not necessarily like we're going to see in real time tomorrow people selling to turn around and buy, per se.
It's just kind of wild, right? And if you believe that these two companies are all going to end up being one at some point, that's all, again, where the
to be
Tesla
continued
buy.
tomorrow, 1 p.m. with our special coverage.
See, this is just the beginning.
These guys will be here.